We have another question from Aroni, who I'm going to try and add him to a panel because I think his question's brilliant. Okay, here we go. We're going to add you as a panelist to ask your question. Let's see. All right. Arohi, sorry. I think I said Aroni. Arohi. All right, I'm going to unmute you, Arohi. Do you want to ask the question that you posted? That would be fantastic.
Sure. Do you hear me?
Yeah.
Okay. So I don't see my question anymore. So I guess I'm gonna have to.
Oh, it's under answered. Yeah.
Perfect. So I think it's more for the second speaker, Ajay Bhatia. But yeah, anybody can just jump in and answer this one. So I'm one of those Munda who Bhatia that hasn't come back, and one of the first things that I realized going into France and the difference in culture that I was put up against was that people they don't really work the same way. So the work culture is really different, and I think that they generalize. Well, usually in France or in Europe, they generalize exactly how Indians work. And it's relatively incompatible with how things are seen locally. And I had to unlearn some of the things that I learned growing up. So seeing things overly optimistically is something not really highly encouraged in Europe. So criticism is something valuable and constructive by nature. Even if it's destructive, it's seen constructively. So that's one of those, things like that I had to learn by myself. So I think so my question is, what did you have to unlearn if you had to?
Okay, amazing. Thank you so much for asking. So I have promoted Ajay to a panelist. Maybe you can give some insight, as well as I guess, Daman, you can chip in from your experience working in DC as well. So Ajay, what did you have to unlearn?
Yeah, no, that's a very good question. And one of the reasons I'm probably not the best person to answer this question, because I never worked in India. I've only worked in Australia, ever. But I have worked with a lot of people who've come from India and worked with me. And I've seen some of the mistakes they've made. Maybe they're not mistakes, but the incompatibilities with the cultural aspects of, working in Australia. And some of them, they're simple things, and Indians are very smart people, but sometimes you need to be the person listening more than the person speaking. That's one thing that I've noticed. Another thing that I've noticed is often people complain about, I couldn't understand this guy because he was speaking so fast. So somehow we think in India speaking fast is great command of language, but in Australia in particular, it's actually seen as a little bit of a negative because people don't follow you. So it's not, again, it's small things like that. But look, I'd want to abstract this and say, when you come from a different culture to a different culture, unlearn the fact that there is nothing superior about any culture in this world. Just because we're from India doesn't mean we are the most superior in this world. My parents feel that, by the way, that we are the most superior in the world, but anyone with a superiority complex as a race or as an individual, it's a problem that you need to solve. And the first step is to understand that you need to unlearn the superiority in any way, shape or form, because you are in a different land and you want to be learning about that different land as well. And there are aspects of that land that are, they're bloody good, they're brilliant. So yeah, for me, it's just that.
Awesome. Thank you. And I guess I might reframe this a little bit for maybe Daman is, what do you have to unlearn to be able to do what you do, to start these initiatives? Like, what was it that maybe school or college taught you that, or maybe it's positive or not so positive, that you had to unlearn to just start making a change?
Sure. A lot of young people, my younger cousins also ask me similar questions sometimes. And how I describe it is, when you go to the US or you go abroad, you think you've really gotten this blue chip on your shoulder, you're smarter than the rest, and no one in the country knows anything. And so when you come back to India, there is a complex where you think you know more. But the truth is, education goes just that far. You don't have to be educated. You don't need a college degree to be really smart. I truly feel my great grandmother, who was illiterate, knew a lot more IQ, EQ, everything as compared to many of smarter folks I've met. So it's something you really need to grasp very soon. Coming back to India is always like entering a dark room. So when you first enter, you see nothing. And then once you settle down and sit and you start noticing there's so much incredible work, so many incredible people. They might not be speaking in the language you think you want to hear. They might not have a Harvard degree, but they know their shit. Sorry for the language, but they know their stuff and they're really smart. So have a year out, listen to them, and in any work you're doing, it has to be, indigenous or like an organic, out of the community sort of response, as opposed to a superimposed response from, say, a very Eurocentric view where you learn something in business school and you're trying to apply it at a village level. It's not going to work. So for me, the biggest learning is, and that's what I was trying to talk about at Sage as well, I have encountered such smart people. There's incredible talent in India. Just go out, look for it, and be open-minded when you hear these things. So yeah, that's the biggest learning for me.
And that's huge.
And unlearning.
Connecting with people. Like, that's how I met all of you guys online. Like, I didn't really know you guys. I just sort of found you online and said, hey, I'm visiting Punjab. Can we meet up? We're not related. We don't know each other. Amy was the only one introduced to me through actually Sabika, who was on my delegation for Australia India Youth Dialogue. So that's another thing. If you're Aussie, look into that dialogue. That's also a great way. I met some great folks in India. And that dialogue was the first time I realized, wow, there's an opportunity here for me to make a difference.